Hello everyone, the Pioneer is here with a new report on a new day of war. We will analyze the latest developments on the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine, which is about to leave behind its second year on the map. According to the latest reports, the counter-offensive operations launched by the Ukrainian army continue in 5 parts of the front line. When I was preparing these reports, I often mentioned that the Donetsk front line was quite calm and not much had changed. However, it is no longer possible to say that. Strangely, both armies have nowadays shifted the focus of the fighting to the area known as the Donetsk front line. We also see that the Ukrainian army has made gains in this region, albeit limited. So, what is the latest situation the Russia-Ukraine war is in? Which is the most important agenda item in the world? Let's examine the latest developments together. As the Pioneer team, we continue to bring you developments regarding Russia-Ukraine war. You can use the super thanks button below the video to support our team, which keeps you informed of every developments on the front line. Thank you for your support in advance. Let's start if you're ready, the Pioneer reports. We will start today's report with the Zaporizhia front line. First, let's view the area we call the Zaporizhia front line on the map. Then let's zoom in our Robotny area. The Ukrainian army continues its offensive in the region. Recent reports indicate that the Ukrainian army has increased pressure on Russian positions northwest of the Novoprokopivka region. Russian troops in this area have made a partial retreat from the region as a result of the Ukrainian army's offensive. In this way, the border of the Russian army's positions was leveled. While Ukrainian troops exerted great pressure in this region, Russian troops tried to put pressure on Ukrainian troops in the Verbov and Novofedorivka region. You can see it is on the map. The distance between Verbov and Novofedorivka is about 7 kilometers. According to the latest reports, the Russian army managed to trap the Ukrainian army for a while with the attacks launched here. However, Ukrainian troops in the region managed to repel these operations of the Russian army without too many casualties. Then, the Ukrainian offensive forces mobilized and launched a furious attacks in the direction of both Novofedorivka and Verbov. However, so far, the Ukrainian army has not yet made any gains. However, I think that the Russian troops will be silent in this region for a while, because they have suffered a lot of losses during these attacks. Then continuation of the attack means that more Russian soldiers will die without making any gains. Finally, we will end our report on Robotny region by analyzing the artillery operation. According to the latest reports, Russian artillery units targeted Ukrainian positions in Robotny, Novoprokopivka and Malaya Tokmakcha. In turn, Ukrainian artillery throughout the day targeted Russian positions in Kopany, Ichenko, Verbov, and Novofedorivka. Now let's continue by analyzing the latest developments in the Woholdar sector of the Zaporizhia front line. First, let's look at the Woholdar area on the map. We have already mentioned that the Ukrainian army has increased its attacks in this area in the direction of Priyodny in recent days. The Russian army began to respond to the Ukrainian army in the region. However, according to the information we have received from our sources, Ukrainian positions are still intact. No deterioration in the positions of the Ukrainian defense forces have been observed so far. According to the latest reports, Russian troops also launched an offensive starting from Zavidnibezhania and continuing in the direction of Yorkhain. However, this offensive last not yield any result either. I have already mentioned that the Ukrainian army is largely keeping calm here. It is not attempting too many attacks. Ukrainian troops are generally in defensive position in this region. As you can imagine, every attack of the Russian army further wears down the Russian troops in the region. This situation is very important for the Ukrainian army to continue its counterattack operations. Russian troops who cannot achieve successes from these attacks are also weakening during the losses. According to the latest reports, Russian troops in the region are also facing reinforcement problems. Therefore, Ukrainian troops are trying to ensure that Russian troops are worn out by maintaining their defense positions. We can say that if the Russian troops are sufficiently worn out in the coming days, the Ukrainian army will carry out active offensive operations at many points, especially in Zavidnibezhania. Let us also mention the activity of artillery units in the region. According to the latest reports, Russian artillery units were busy targeting Ukrainian positions in the direction of Priyodny, Yorkhain, and Stromayursk. In turn, Ukrainian artillery units targeted Russian positions in Priyodny, Staromielinka, Zavitny-Bezhania, and Novodonetsk. Let's continue with the latest developments on the Donetsk front line. Some experts claim that this region, especially Avdiivka on the front line, could be a new Bakhmut story. You can see the Avdiivka here in the area right now. The Ukrainian defense forces in the area have been successfully repelling Russian offensive operations for quite some time. In recent days, there is an offensive operations launched by the Russian troops from the two fronts. However, so far, Russian troops have suffered heavy losses in these offensive operations and had to retreat. On the other hand, Russian forces supported by the Russian artillery units carried out offensive operations on the Novomikhailovka and Mariinka approaches. However, Russian forces have made it also a tradition not to succeed in these attacks. According to the latest reports, elements of the Ukrainian armed forces in the region have managed to liberate a small area west of Nevlesk, which you can see on the map from the Russian occupation. Currently, the construction of the defensive fortifications of the Ukrainian army is under the way in the area. When we look at this area on the map, we have a timeline. We see that this area was liberated in about a week. Let's continue with the artillery operations. According to the latest reports, Russian artillery units carried out artillery attacks in the direction of Avdiivka and Mariinka. Ukrainian artillery, on the other hand, targeted Russian positions in the direction of Horlivka and Donetsk. We continue our report with the Bakhmut front line. The Ukrainian army continues to dominate around the railway lines east of Avdiivka. According to the latest reports, Russian troops mobilized to clear Ukrainian army positions. However, this has not yielded any results. Ukrainian troops in Klishchivka and Supriony were also under attack by the Russian army. Russian infantry units supported by artillery failed to make any gains in this area and had to retreat. The Bakhmut front line is somewhat calmer than in recent days. On the Luhansk front, the situation has not changed much. There are attacks by the Russian troops in the Makayivka region. However, there was no territorial change. Ukrainian troops managed to repel Russian troops, and we think that the Luhansk front should be carefully monitored. What do you think? Do you think the Ukrainian army will continue to be successful on the Zaporizhia front line? What are your thoughts on the activity on the Donetsk front line? Do you think there will be activity on the Luhansk front line? Let me know in the comments. I read and I care about all your comments.